Let's take a look at the Inspection Apprentice for Solid Edge. This is a inspection report creation tool designed to work specifically with Solid Edge to harvest all the inspection characteristics from the drawing automatically. You begin with an open drawing. This minimum requirement is the maintenance 2D version of Solid Edge. It does not require the full version, just requires API access to the draft environment. We begin by creating a new checklist. The part number and revision are extracted from the current drawing. We can add a little bit more information in here. You can select the sheets that you'd like to have included or excluded from the drawing, and then you simply scan the drawing for characteristics. Now, during this process of scanning, it's going to grab tolerance information, and it's going to actually extract information from a whole callout so that it can be expanded into individual components that need to be, or characteristics that need to be measured, so that you see this one callout on the drawing actually has a number of characteristics that need to be inspected. Selecting an item here in the tree shows you the information that you can override if you wanted to. You can set gauge information on that as well. You can exclude it from the project and later include it back in if you change your mind. If you need to locate items on the drawing, toggling the find button on will allow you to quickly do that. And I've also included a fit view so you don't have a lot of mouse travel back and forth between the Solid Edge application and the checklist creation tool. And you can toggle that off at any time. If you touch an object in the Solid Edge drawing, it feeds back to the Inspection Apprentice, so you can go ahead and fill out that information bidirectionally. So let's take a look at some settings. General checklist settings, whether to expand instances. So you'll see cases where it will say 3 places on the drawing. Sometimes you need to expand that into 3 measurable items in the report instead of just the one. Whole callouts are extracted. You see by hovering over the text, it's going to help you build these. These are based on regular expressions. It's very well documented on the internet, but it's a way of extracting individual characteristics from a single callout object that we have here on the drawing, without having to go into the model and do that, because sometimes people actually type these in and it's not actually extracted from the model. This is kind of a more reliable way to do that. Tolerance information here allows you to define the limits for tolerances unless otherwise specified. The zone of the characteristics. So how does an operator find where that item that he's attempting to measure, where is that on the drawing? So the zone is identified there, and this can be based on the background sheet. Zones are defined differently based on the background sheet size and so on. So balloons, you can change the balloon color, different style if you want to, maybe give it an angle, prefix, suffix, pretty straightforward. There is a grid view, a different display of the same information. If we maximize this grid, you can see that pretty good visual representation of the actual callout is displayed here. All the symbology that you would normally see in Solid Edge. You can do a multi-select here if you wanted to, and facilitate maybe changing the gauge information on multiple items at one time, or changing them to a key characteristic, just to speed up editing the checklist. So to create a report, first we probably should balloon this. First of all, we'll fit the view. Just hit the auto balloon button. Balloons are added. They're actually attached right to the annotations. So if you select, of course, if you move an annotation, the balloon tracks with it, and it's going to be hooked or magnetized, if you want to think of it that way, to the annotation within Solid Edge, so it'll always be tracking that. So then the last step is to export a report. Expand quantities will give you multiple line items. We'll just go ahead and run that. And that's not the folder. Here this exports out to an Excel. We'll just crack that open. The first page is just general information. The second page is all the checklists, or the characteristics of the checklist. So you see here, for example, the 6 places was specified on the drawing. So there are 6 entries here if you needed to actually record the values that were actually on that part. This is really just a way to harvest what information can be harvested from the drawing. You could then paste this into a more formal Excel, or pretty much do whatever you want with it now that it's in the Excel itself.